this program do not necessarily reflect those of Rochester Free Radio, its underwriters, and supporters.
All right. Hey, everybody. Marcus C. Williams here. And you're tuned into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 FM and Rochester Free Radio. Man, we've got a great show going on for you guys today. We've got a whole bunch of great stuff to talk about. But I'll say this. Let's start off here. Man, I know a lot of people are starting to feel completely disgruntled with politics, completely like they're not being heard, like they could care less because they never see any change. Nothing is ever going to change. And people just feel, quite frankly, fed up. And I hear, I too feel very fed up with what's going on. It seems as though no matter what level of government you're talking about, whether it's from the president all the way down to local city council, nobody is really listening to the issues that the people have. And if we start to talk about things like the Federal Reserve or monetary policy and stuff like that, they're definitely not listening at all. We've got a whole bunch of people that are in power in our elected positions that could honestly care less about you or me. They just frankly care about themselves, their benefactors, the people who are loading up their campaigns, who are putting money in their cousins' pockets around the back door, okay, or who are offloading money into their offshore accounts. This is an issue that really needs to be addressed. And because of this type of a thing that we seem to see go on all across the nation, no matter where you are, with elected officials not actually addressing the issues that we're experiencing every day, people are tired. People are like, I'm not going to bother going to vote. Why should I even bother? We recently had a primary election for the Democrats here in Rochester. Only 3% that were registered to vote came out. So 3% made a decision for 97%. It just shows you how fed up people are with our government, and they don't see any real possibility of change. There was a presidential primary, and I got to be honest, it wasn't very much better on the Republican side. Here we have a great example of people just saying, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm out of politics. I don't care. Politics doesn't affect me or impact me, but it is, right? Politics affects and it impacts all of us. And that's the reason why people are just not voting anymore, because they don't feel like there is any power in it. And they'll tell you right out of their mouths, oh, well, politics is too political and it's got nothing to do with my everyday life. They'll tell you the crime in their neighborhoods has nothing to do with politics. They'll tell you the issues with buying a house have nothing to do with politics. They'll tell you the problems with the schools have nothing to do with politics, when that's the exact opposite of reality. Politics impacts and affects absolutely every aspect of our lives, okay? Daily, long-term, retirement, every single aspect. Politics affects and impacts everything from your toilet going flush in the bathroom, okay, to them putting a spaceship on the moon, which they're not putting a spaceship on the moon right yet, but they are putting money in the budget for a moon train. A moon train. What in the world do we need a train on the moon for when we have so many issues with our basic infrastructure here on the planet? I don't have any real plans to go to the moon, so the train on the moon is not going to help me. Why is our government funding a train on the moon? Now, that's just the federal government, right? Because we could talk in local politics. Why is the government spending on this? Why is the government spending on that? You know, and the answer is nobody can really tell you. And the reason that nobody can really tell you is because not very many people are involved to hold the feet to the fire of the elected officials that they need to. They figure, oh, well, maybe I'll go out and I'll vote, maybe. And if I do, that's the biggest thing that I can do. But once people get into office, that's when the real time for accountability comes. That's when you really need to actually go to their offices, visit them, send them emails, check them out, see what's going on, look into the policies, look into the policies that they're putting forth, look into the laws and the legislation that they are putting forth. That is what you as an American citizen need to do. And as we talk about these things, whereas people feel completely disenfranchised by the government, I'll tell you this. Let's bring things into perspective, right? So here we have a time in our history, in our country, where it's okay for people to come out and be socialists or communists when we spent the majority of the last 150 years fighting against communists and socialists. Because we know historically that communism and socialism is absolutely antithetical to the American value system, okay? To the republic for which it stands, okay? Or like what other people like to say, oh, democracy, whatever. It's not a democracy, it's a republic, and you need to really learn the difference. It's very, very important. We covered it here on the show before. But the fact of the matter is, it's antithetical to our way of life. It is non-compatible to our way of life. Socialism and communism, and anybody that says that they're, oh, I'm a democratic socialist, they're fleecing you, okay? They are pulling the wool over your eyes. It is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Let's be honest. The policies that have been pushed, or been promoted, I should say, both, right, by people who are calling themselves socialists and communists are policies to expand the government. Now, why would I want to expand the government when the majority of people will tell you right off the bat, they don't like how anything in the government is operating. They don't like how they're spending the money. They don't like how they're passing policies. They don't like any of that. They don't like how long it takes for them to file paperwork for business registration, or they don't like the taxation that's going on or any of that. And these Democrats that are socialists or the communists or the very left-leaning, they call themselves progressive, which they're not actually progressive. You should go look up the actual Progressive Party. The Progressive Party was actually very conservative, okay? And they just stole that moniker to try to make themselves sound better. It's a rebrand of dramatic proportions, okay? It's a complete lie. They're not progressive, they're regressive. The thing that they're pushing are ideas that are against our history and our nation. That's why they're trying to call themselves progressive, because they're trying to build themselves as, oh, we're something different. You're not something different. We've seen you everywhere all across the world already. We've seen what happened in Vietnam. We saw what happened in Korea and all these other countries, okay? We see what's going on in China today. We've seen what's going on in South America today and previously. Now, these are all boiling down to policies, right? Because it's policies and legislation that matter. And when it comes to these leftists, socialists, Marxists, whatever you want to call them, I like to call them American Marxists. That encompasses all of the left. Everybody that's left, that encompasses the Democrat socialist, that encompasses the socialist, that encompasses the what do you call them, the communists, and everybody else, okay? There was a point in time when the Democrats actually were a party that had some sort of American pride and American values. However, if you're a Democrat right now, you'd be hard pressed to find the policies that the Democrats are putting in place that are not actually harming our economy, devaluing your dollar, decreasing the spending power of your dollar, and destroying our educational system, preventing our children from being successful and being able to succeed. That's not just me talking, that's actual policies and legislation that they've put in place. And we need to have a real conversation about this as a nation. It's frustrating to me too. I know a lot of people are concerned about them, maybe, what are they calling it, stealing the election, or election rigging, or whatever they want to call it, whatever it may be. I know a lot of people are concerned about that. You know what? Me too. I'm concerned about that because I don't like digital machines. I know how digital machines work, and I know how computers work. For years, I did computer repair and engineering. I know how those things work, and I know how simple it is for there to be an issue or an error or something like that. Now, as far as them being compromised or whatever the case is, you can have your own thoughts, feelings, or concerns about that. They are all valid in any way, shape, or form. Because when we as the people don't see the government doing what we want, and then we have a reason to be concerned about the integrity of our elections, and that actual real live concern is completely dismissed by the people that are in the positions of power, that are the elected officials, you have to start to wonder yourself, do they actually care? Or is it that the way that things are set up, it's benefiting them? And that's really, really what the big concern is of everybody when it comes to election integrity, isn't it? That the people that are in power, that we are not fond of, that are passing the policies that we are not fond of, that they'll make it so that they stay in power. That the way that the system is, it's getting more and more extremified on the left-leaning circumstances, as far as increasing the size of government, increasing the amount of taxation, and decreasing your ability to control your own life and to have say in your child's life. Now, I'm not here to tell you one thing from another, but I'll tell you this. If we want to see real change, if we want something different to happen, we're going to have to start standing up and speaking up against this. We're going to have to start organizing like the left does. The left is really great at organizing because they sell you a false dream of a better tomorrow that doesn't actually exist. But we all know that we, me, you, we all deserve a better tomorrow. But what they're selling you is a highway to hell with gasoline draws on. But can we talk about that, though? And we need to be talking about these things. These are the things that are impacting us every day. Here where I live, we have a $1.4 billion budget for the school district, the largest that there has ever been. But this year we have less students, less teachers, and less open schools. So how does that work? Every year the budget goes up and up and up and up and up, but the proficiency goes down and so low to the ground that you can barely see it. Our proficiency rate here is something like 23%, and I believe that that's honestly an overestimate. It's probably around 14%. We are actively graduating people who are functionally illiterate, and this is a completely, I guess you'd say, it's a Democrat stronghold, right? It's completely run by Democrats, everything here where I live. School board, all Democrats. City council, all Democrats. City court judges, all Democrats. State assembly for the city, all Democrats. Okay? State senators for the city covering my area, all Democrats. We're not being real with ourselves. The governor, the high priestess Kathy Hochul, a Democrat. So the area that I live in for 50 years has been run into the ground by Democrats, completely disadvantaging the working class, the people in poverty, especially the Black communities. Now, here's the real thing that we need to be talking about. If the Democrat cities are abysmal when it comes to people who are in the working class, who are the Democrats really setting these policies for? Who are they really benefiting? Largely, it's themselves. And that's a very, very serious issue. But aside from it just being themselves, it's their benefactors. It's the people that are jockeying for them as far as raising money and stuff like that. It's the corporations that are behind them, funding them. And meanwhile, all they do is strip the little bit of wealth that you have and all of the food out of your fridge. We're not being serious and we're not looking at things clearly. You know, X has these spaces and stuff on there. And yesterday, Uncle Luke, who is not a Black American, okay, we should talk about that at some point, had a space open asking for Republicans to come in and stuff like that and say, well, that, and in the space, they said, oh, we haven't heard any Republicans or anything say anything good or anything like that. Okay, so I'm on there. I'm like, well, let me say something. I'm a Republican. I'll tell you exactly what you're asking, which is why should people vote Republican and stuff like that. So I get on there, and he tries to shut down everything that I'm answering as I'm trying to answer the question that he's asking. And then this other co-host lady, Nikki some trash, okay, is like, oh, well, no, answer this question instead. I'm like, but I'm trying to answer the question that he said. No, answer this question. Because what happens is these people who are working for the Democrat machine and the far left, there's two separate entities, is what I'm saying. The Democrat machine and the far left, they're not necessarily synonymous, but they do often work together. So the people that are working for that, the second that you start saying stuff and you start making sense, they don't want you to talk. So they said that they give me a minute and 30 seconds. They didn't give me 30 seconds because they didn't want to hear what I was saying, because what I was saying was actually making sense. And people were actually liking what I was saying. And of course, they couldn't have that because that would break up their narrative that Republicans actually have something to offer and people should actually go and think about being Republican. Now, the lady that was trash, Nikki, whatever her face is, on her thing, it says, Biden-Harris campaign. So she's completely funded by them, by the Democrat machine. Trash, don't have any ideas of her own, okay? Only out there whistling policy that they push in the narrative that they're trying to push regularly. Uncle Luke's a piece of trash. He's always been that way, degrading Black females and trying to promote lecherousness and debauchery, okay? And now he's talking about, oh, he's getting into politics, trash, garbage, human trash. And he's not even a Black American, but he tried to play in your face like he is. Now, with that being said, this is a regular experience if you are a Republican that is in a Democrat-held area, that is in an area where Democrats do have a lot of power. They do not want you to talk, because when people hear what you're saying, they will find it to be not only practical, but reasonable. And they completely do not want that. And that is a very, very serious issue. But can we talk about that? No, because they want to keep us divided. They want to keep us separated, because what they know is that if we, the people that are the working class, if we, the people that are in poverty, okay, if we join together, the Black people in the working class and in poverty, and the white people in the working class and in poverty, and the Latinos that are in the working class and are in poverty, we probably flip over the whole table, and then the game would be over. And they don't want that, because they know that when there is diversity of thought, that people actually have the ability to choose for themselves, and they don't want you to be able to choose for yourself. If you're a Democrat, you want everybody to say Democrat. If you're a Republican, you want everybody to say Republican. I just want everybody to go back to constitutional values and shrink the government and lower taxes or abolish them, is how I really feel. I want to go back to an education system that is run on the local level so that we can actually provide the quality of education that we need for the children in our area, and it's not handed down to us from the federal government or the state, because we in our area know what's best for our babies. I want a government that isn't always snatching away our rights, liberties, freedoms, and privacy under the guise of temporary security. I don't think that that's a real big, crazy thing to say. And most people would agree with me. And that's honestly why I am a conservative Republican, because the values right there match. And it's a reason why it's conservative first and then Republican. Realistically, I'm a constitutional conservative, registered Republican, because I believe that the Constitution goes fourth and goes first. Okay, well, second, the Lord, our Father in heaven first, okay, then the Constitution. So, well, when we talk about stuff like this, they don't want us to talk about any of this, because they know if we actually start having open, realistic conversations with people, and they'll start saying, oh, well, maybe the Republicans don't have horns and a pointy tail. They might say, oh, well, maybe I have a reason to consider voting Republican. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are a Democrat or an independent in November, vote Republican. You don't even need to change your party to do it. Okay? That's a fact. But if you do want to change your party because you have more traditional or family values or conservative values, or you're a Christian and you have more traditional Christian values, definitely join the Republican Party. People will say, well, Marcus, well, what has the Republican Party done for Black people? Okay. I say, well, where do you live, right? It depends on where you live. So I live in a city, almost all the elected officials, the vast majority of them, I'd say over 70, maybe 80% are Black. City council, you got city council, the mayor, you got school board, you got the city court judges. The majority of them are Black. Okay, what have they done? They're all Democrats. What have they done for our community? All I see in my Black community is us getting run out of our neighborhoods. All I see in my Black community is people struggling to meet rent and meet food needs. Okay, all I see is a lack of the ability to afford home ownership because of policies that have been put in place by Democrats. Now these Democrats in my area have completely given up on even talking to the local people that live here. And they're like, we only care about bringing more wealthy, affluent individuals from outside of the city, not even locally, right? Like, I wish it was just like from the suburbs into the city. People from the suburbs locally ain't trying to move into the city. They don't want nothing. But they're trying to bring people from across the country, California, Nevada, Washington, different places where the Democrats have completely ruined those places, okay, due to their horrible policies, but they have more money over there. So they're trying to bring them here. And that's a very, very serious issue. What happens when you flood the market with more money here than the people that live here have? The prices start getting unseemly. And that's what we're starting to see. Housing, whoo, going up, okay? Crazy up for people to actually afford it that actually live here. And people be like, oh, well, Marcus, it's lower than it is in other places in the country. Yeah, it might be lower than other places in the country, but this is this place in the country. This has its own economy. This has its own people that live here. I don't live in California and make $450,000 and live in a little one-bedroom house that's worth $1 million. Okay, that's how things are out there. That's not how things are over there. Don't come from over there over here trying to make things over here like they are over there just because you're telling me that it's less expensive over here. Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Nobody's trying to hear that. It's so disgusting that it makes you want to spit. And it's a serious problem. But again, can we actually talk about that? Now, if you're watching us online, I encourage you, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. Definitely share and subscribe, okay? Because that's how we get more of the message out to more people, because they don't really want people talking legitimately and earnestly with the people in the community, with the people in our nation. And that's what I'm here to do for you guys, okay? Because we have to restore some sort of concern for the actual people in our communities that live in our communities. But the government doesn't care about you. You don't matter to them, but you matter to me. You're important to me. Because, listen, it really makes me frustrated. So I'm trying to catch myself before I say something uncouth. You know, drink water, stay hydrated. Anyway, as I'm saying, if you're online, like, subscribe, share. If you're watching us on X, Twitter, wherever, what we got? YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, all of that. Like, subscribe, and share, and let more people know. And every Monday, we do this show on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. So let other people know if you're listening to us on the radio to actually listen to us on the radio. And make sure that you go to my YouTube channel, the Marcus C. Williams channel, like and subscribe. Now, as we go forward and we talk about serious issues that are befalling our communities all across the nation, especially in Democrat strongholds, we need to make one acknowledgement. The people on the left, both the Democrats and the far left, the American Marxists, all of them, okay, the Greenies and all of them, they have a lot more organization than people on the right or the conservatives and Republicans. I want to know, where are the people that are conservatives and Republicans that are actually willing to get off their behinds and get out and go be active, start community organizing, start community engagement, start pitching in for local people that are running for office. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, that's what's lacking. They have a much larger organization and structural thing than we have. They've taken over all of the schools, okay, from the elementary school all the way through collegiate. They're the ones that are inputting this nonsense into people's brains and making them believe it, force feeding it to them over and over and over and over again. So they have a much better structure there. But I want to talk about the actual ground game, the political structure. Where is it? Where are the people that are willing to volunteer and pitch in? And also, if you're local in the Rochester, Monroe County area, go to my website if you'd like to volunteer for my campaign. I'm running for state assembly in my area, 137th New York State Assembly, covering most of the city of Rochester and the whole town of Gates. So go to my website, Marcus4Rochester.com. That's Marcus4Rochester.com. And you can donate or volunteer there. You don't even have to be local to donate. So pitch in for people that are running in your area. Maybe you should run in your area. I don't know. Everybody's area is a little different. But we need to be encouraging ourselves and other like-minded individuals to start taking action. We can't just sit on the couch and say, oh, everything's terrible, everything's going bad, and all of this stuff and all of that stuff. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save America. That's for sure. It ain't nothing but us. That's here. We have to save America. We have to save our cities. We have to save our counties and our states. It's up to us. Who but us, right? So when we see this organizing that they're doing on the left, why aren't we doing that? Where are our people that are willing to do that? Yes, I know they are financed more, and maybe they've been working on it for 80 years to topple our whole country and destroy our republic, which they are very well into it. And yes, I know that we're not going to change everything overnight because it takes time. But we can start securing small wins. We are seeing certain wins in certain parts of the country and stuff like that we weren't before. But with them changing different voting laws and stuff like that, like in Wisconsin, now they've just re-added more drop boxes that don't have to be monitored and all of this and all of that. And now you don't have to be the person to actually drop off your own ballot. Anybody can drop it off for you. I'm looking at that and I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is ripe for somebody to misuse. And even Jimmy Carter warned about mail-in voting and stuff like that. He said, no, it's not safe. We shouldn't be doing it. Jimmy Carter, okay? I'm not a big fan of Jimmy Carter, so that's saying a lot, you know? France doesn't do mail-in balloting because of the same type of issue. And a number of other countries. And speaking of France, we just saw a large victory the week before last for a more conservative party that's run by, what's her name? Le Pen. And after that, the leftists went out and they started burning stuff on fire, flipping police cars over. I'm not exaggerating. I'm honestly not able to do it justice just talking about it. Burning down monuments, setting buildings on fire, all types of stuff. Just wreaking all holy havoc in the street. Absolutely abysmal. And now the second round of elections just happened just the other day. And now all of a sudden, the far left has taken a whole bunch of seats, even over the moderate left, which is President Macron's party. They call themselves moderate left, but I don't believe that they're moderate at all. They're very extreme. But that's beside the point. The fact is that they defied all polling. Listen to me now. They defied all polling and all voter registration to take the majority of the seats. How is that even possible? How does that even work? But can we have that conversation? If we see what's going on in France right now, we can definitely be sure that we need to be on the lookout for what's going on in America. Okay? And people say, oh, what happens over there isn't necessarily affecting us. It does. It does. France is one of the largest military powers in the world. Okay? And by that, I mean they're in a whole bunch of armed conflicts across the world that they ain't really got no business in. But, yeah. And when we talk about that, you're like, oh, well, it doesn't affect anything. Well, look at what just happened in England, right? Like the Tories are out. They got these far leftists. What are they calling themselves now? The Labour Party. They're getting back in, and the Nigel Farage's party, I forget what it's called, the Reform Party, right? The Reform UK, that's what it's called. His party actually scored a whole bunch of seats, even though they're just about 4 years old now. But they're what is considered more conservative, okay? And that's good. That's good. I'm glad that they were able to get so many seats. It shows that there is a good momentum going there for people that are conservative and want to see real change, not this bureaucratic nonsense expansion of the government, and definitely not socialist soft policies that are destroying our country here in America and England for that matter as well. We could talk about Spain, or we could talk about what's going on in Portugal too, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'd like to talk about this. Also, just a reminder, you're listening to WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Tune into The Divide every Monday, excuse me, days of the week, right? Every Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. You're listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. Okay. Now, what I'd really like to talk about is organizing, right? Like people that are tired of the Democrats running stuff, that they're running it into the ground, people that see that the Democrat Party is not what it is, and people that might question, well, why should I vote Republican? What have they done? So now, what have the Republicans done for Black people is something that I get as a question. And I say, well, as Black people, are you voting Republican in your dun dun dun? You know, and that's the big question, right? Normally what happens with any party is if you're a voting bloc for them, they kind of cater to what you want. Okay, if you're running candidates, then you can have control over certain policies and stuff like that if the candidate that you're running is a good candidate and sticks on policy and values, right? So that's an important thing that we should be able to have a conversation. Now, I look at it like this, and it's very simple for me. Why the Republican Party? Well, because the Republican values are, not only was the Republican Party founded to abolish slavery, and also founded in part by many Black American freedmen, okay, we need to have the real conversation that the values of the Republican Party actually align with not only the majority of Americans, but specifically the Black Americans, okay? Family, faith, freedom. Come on now. If there's anything, those are definitely Black American family values, right? Those are the basis of them. Small government, right? Keep the government out of your business. Those are Black American values. Pay as little taxes as possible. Black American values. Like, are you serious? Take care of your family and focus on your community. Black American values, right? And like I said, the Republican values and all and principles generally resonate with the majority of the whole populace in the United States, the vast majority, except the crazy far left people, you know. But Republicans have been given a bad name in many Democrat areas because since Lyndon B. Johnson was president, they've hammered that, oh, Republicans are bad, only vote Democrat, only vote Democrat, only vote Democrat. You don't have to only vote Democrat. What have the Democrats really done? You know, it's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. I tell you what, it's very frustrating when you see what's going on. It's very frustrating. But the only way to actually get change and make a difference is really to be in one of the two parties. Now, people will say, oh, well, we should get rid of the two-party system. Listen, you're not telling me nothing that I don't already like and know. But the fact of the matter is that that's highly unrealistic, okay? And not only is it unrealistic, it's unpractical. And if it's unpractical, that means that it's going to be very difficult to implement at this stage in time. And if it's very difficult to implement at this stage of time, and you're barely able to get anybody off the couch to actually go out and knock doors or make phone calls for candidates that are good candidates that are willing to actually stand up and run, how are you going to start a whole new party? Come on now. Not only that, not just start a new party, right? Like, it's start a new party that not only gains traction, but actually starts taking seats to be in office without being co-opted by other different outside individuals and private interest groups. So this is what we're dealing with. And because, like I said, the Republican values resonate with the majority of Americans, I encourage you to go join your local Republican Party. Get involved on your local Republican committee. Okay? Find out if their values match with yours before you join. And everything is not about Trump, even though some people try to make it about Trump. I'm going to tell you this. Longer than I've been alive, Trump was a Democrat. So now he decided to switch to a Republican. What's that mean? So should everything that the Republicans do and the Republicans' philosophies be what Trump says out of his mouth? Absolutely not. Okay? I like Rick Scott. Okay? I like him. I don't always like everything he says. He doesn't always speak for everything that every single Republican says. Tim Scott, I like him too. Just so happens that those Scotts seem to be pretty all right. I like Tim Scott too. Do I like everything he says? Absolutely not. Does everything that he say represent the whole Republican Party? Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? And I could go down the line. Every single person individually represents themselves, and what they see is their interests, right? But I'm running myself specifically so I can serve the best interests of my community and my people, because I believe that that should be the focus of anybody that's a politician, okay? And they've really gotten away from that because it's supposed to be public service, but they're not doing public service whatsoever. Now, we've got a lot of issues in our country, far and wide, okay? Far and wide. And I could talk for hours about all of the issues that we have. But some of the most serious issues come from government overreach and from government expenditure of the, I guess you would say, bureaucratic system. That's all those crazy departments, you know, Department of Agriculture, Department of, I don't know, all of them, Department of Defense, Department of Interior, Department of, they've got like a billion of them. And I believe the majority of them should be shuttered, honestly. The majority of them should be trimmed down so fine that there's a very slim line of them working in there. We just saw a debate with Joe Biden and President Trump about 2 weeks ago now, maybe 2.5. Okay, and it was terrible. It was terrible. Biden showed us as people that have been watching him the whole time that he is exactly what we thought he was, a senile old man who is in the middle of dementia and should not have been elected to office to begin with. But we knew that already. That's why he wasn't going to run originally. And then they kind of just pushed him out there. And it's elder abuse. And every single one of them that are a part of it should be in jail, prison even, right? But you don't go to prison for that. You just go to jail. But still, they need to be in there. They need to be locked up for what they're doing to Joe Biden. It's wrong. It's wrong. That man should be in a nursing home. He needs dementia care. Y'all not giving him what he really needs. He probably needs hospice care if we're really real. But that's a whole separate conversation. This is very serious state for our nation, because other countries look at this and they look at this and they're like, what the heck is going on in the United States? We're supposed to be a beacon of strength and hope for the future for everyone in the world, and we're not living up to that mantle. Now, you can say you feel how you feel about Joe Biden. I know him that he is a racist piece of excrement, okay, who passed many bills. His claim to fame and one of his things that he loves the most is that his fingerprints and his signature is on every single mass incarceration bill that has ever been passed. He's the one who locked up all the black people. Okay, he's the one that was in charge of all of that. Okay, he's the one that was putting all of these laws and signatures on laws coming from the state Senate that were bad for a lot of our communities, especially the black community. That man's always been garbage. He's said so many racist things throughout the years. Like, I don't want my children to live in a racial jungle. I don't want blacks going to school with my kids, and you shouldn't want yours either. He said stuff like that. Like, that's not like, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. And I got some other stuff that he said that I'm not even able to really share on the radio or on the internet, because they try to take it down and block you and stuff like that. But one of the other things that he said is that you're not black if you don't vote for me. Why would I vote for a racist guy who separate black families and puts tons of black people in jail? Why would I vote for somebody that passed the crime bill on the crack and cocaine, and his son is a cocaine addict, that he won't even go to jail, but he put so many black men in jail for that? Are we going to have a real conversation or what? No, we won't have a real conversation because nobody cares. Can we talk about his mentors were Strom Thurmond and Robert Byrd? Okay, actual KKK members that were in the Senate that were also Democrats. Wow. Can we talk about the Democrats were the ones that founded the KKK? No, we didn't have that conversation either. Nobody wants to talk about that. Oh, and then they'll tell you, oh, well, the parties switched. The parties never switched. The parties never switched at all. The policies that the Democrats have started with, the ones that they wanted to keep slavery, have continued realistically through today and just changed their phrasing and their composition just a little bit. They used to have it where they wanted you to be a full slave. Now they want you to be a slave indentured to the government. You got to work all the way till you're dead. Okay, people that are in retirement now can't retire because you got to work all the way till you're dead because they want to keep you enslaved. They want to keep you dumbed down. That's why the education system is so trash. And who's in control of the education system? The Democrats. Then they get mad at the Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation. Now, we'll talk about that briefly. I'm not going to do a deep dive into that, but we'll talk about it briefly. That's about slimming the bureaucracy. All of those departments that we talked about earlier, it's about chopping them up into little pieces and kicking everybody out of there that's been there for like 30, 40 years, that have developed more power and strongholds in there than many of the directors of the organizations. Because nobody should be in there that long. That's too much power. Okay? They've outlived many, many presidents. And you see the Democrats got right into it, talking about, oh, Trump wants to get rid of the bureaucracy. He wants to cut all the bureaucracy down. We can't let him do that. That was a couple of weeks ago. Now, the last week, now they're talking about, oh, Project 2025, because Project 2025 is to do exactly that, to get rid of the bureaucracy, to trim it up. Now, when Trump was in office, you might remember, or maybe you don't remember, go back and look it up. He shuttered a lot of jobs that were for the bureaucracy. He just did not hire new people. He put a hiring freeze on. He said, no, we're not hiring anybody anymore. We're not doing that. We just had jobs numbers come in. They're talking about, oh, we did lower job numbers than expected. We created 200,000 jobs. Out of those 200,000, almost 70 to 100,000 of those are government jobs. Why? Why are we expanding the government? Shrink the government. No more big government. Shrink it. Okay, what are they even doing? Why do we need to expand the government so much? Why do we need, what we're having basically is government sanctioned individual jobs as welfare benefits for people's loyalty. Again, keeping people on the, whatever you want to call it, democratic plantation of thought or whatever. But it's real. This is real what's happening. When Trump was in office, he shrunk the bureaucracy, got rid of a lot of people, and didn't do any more hiring. And they were like, oh, how could he do that? He's destroying our country. Everything's going to be terrible. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing blew up. Nothing went down. Nobody has any real complaints about the way the operation of the government is, because there's what would you even call it, right? Like not even multiples, not even squares. There's another word that I'm looking for that's math, and I'm not able to think of it. But there's an exponential number of these departments that have doubled up positions, tripled up positions, quadrupled up positions, all redundant, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And you wonder why we can never get anything done in the government. That's why. Because there's no streamlining stuff. They need to streamline the government like, what's his name? The guy that was the general that went into the military during World War II and streamlined the whole military. Oh my goodness. What's his name? Marshall? General Marshall? That sounds right. Sounds like it was Marshall. So I'm going to say it was Marshall, even if I'm not right. That's who it is today, because I can't remember exactly who, but I'm fairly confident that it was Marshall who worked on restructuring the whole government. Not the government, but the whole military. If you remember who it was, drop it in the comments, okay? But regardless of that, we need to completely streamline our bureaucracy because nothing ever gets done. That's one of the reasons why they keep collecting so much taxes from you, because it's so big and so onerous that all it does is cost us money and nothing ever gets done. You know how long the appropriations process takes for us to build a warship, okay, or a plane? Like 10 years. How is that even possible? Just to get it approved. By the time that it gets approved, it's already outclassed. What are we doing? What are we really doing? We really need to look towards what's happening in our government and how we can fix it and how we can change things that are going on there. Because if not us, then who? If not now, then when? And the point of the matter is, it won't ever happen if we don't do it now. We got to do it now. We can't do it later. There might not be a later. We see the way that we were just talking about all these European countries that the far left are taking over, that the socialists are taking over, the globalists are taking over. What chance do we have if we do not stand up now? I'm tired, y'all. I want to get to a point where our government is so decent that every year is not the election of a lifetime. Okay? It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. And right now, they rule on you by fear. COVID, fear. Okay? Terrorism, fear. Mass shootings, fear. Okay? Everything, fear. The only fear that's legitimate is the fear of AI and the fear of the illegal aliens. That is a massively legitimate concern. And it should be everybody's concern. Because with AI taking all the jobs, nobody's going to have any jobs. They're already going after the white collar jobs. But we see Amazon and places like that, stocking and shipping and stuff like that, they're taking the jobs there. So if you can't work in shipping and stocking and you can't work a white collar job, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We're based on a consumer economy. If you don't have any money to consume, you can't do nothing. So these are the questions that need to be answered desperately. You wonder why they want you to abort your babies so bad? You wonder why they want you to kill your babies so bad? That's why. They know what they're setting up. You wonder why they want to make it legalized so that you can have assisted suicide? Like in New York State, that's a bill that they're trying to pass. If we don't win enough seats in the assembly this year, they're going to pass that bill and they're going to try to kill your old folks like they're doing in Canada right now. Go look up maids in Canada. Okay, medically aided induced death. Okay, go look it up. We've talked about that before on this show. But the fact of the matter is, if we don't work to make a difference now, the future is going to be bleak. And I'm one that's a pretty positive individual. I consider us to live in the best of all possible worlds. And that's why we need to work on fixing it, because it's jacked up right now. Because I know that this is not the best that we can do, and that we should power through and we should do different. And we can, but it's going to require more people to get active. It's going to require you to get active. Okay? Well, Marcus, how do I get active? You join in taking action by going to a county ledge meeting, going to a city council or town board meeting, going to a school board meeting. Start listening to what's going on. Start engaging with your elected officials. That's what needs to be done. Start organizing the people in your area and your neighborhood. Maybe you're not the person that can run, but maybe you're the person that can get organized in your neighborhood and get some people together for some meetings. Maybe you don't want to run yourself, but maybe you can make some phone calls and get some stuff done. And make sure that you are registered to vote, register to vote, register to vote. Okay? Period. Now, I don't know about you, but I vote every time, all the time. I be down at the polls, even when I know that there's no election for my particular ticket. I'm going to go down there anyway, just to make sure they ain't trying to pull a flim-flam and there ain't nothing that I should vote for, no way. Okay? Because we already know the way that certain places roll, especially since I live in New York State. Woo, woo, woo. And they're going to digital machines completely next year. Like, they're going to the touch screens. Now we got these weird digitalist machines, but they still have the paper button punch things, I guess, what do you call it? Like Scantron sheet, right? That you used to have in school, which the school boards which is the Board of Education for the state is trying to get rid of the Regents exams so that we don't have Regents qualifiers anymore. That's crazy. Okay, that's worth the whole conversation right there. Okay, dumbing down our children, you know, setting horrible quality standards. But anyway, they're going to these whole new touchscreen digital complete machines next year, and it's so disgusting it makes you want to spit. I'm not with it. I'm not with it whatsoever. I do not want these new all digital touchscreen machines because I've worked with phones and I've worked with computers for years. I'm not about to be about that life because I know how easy it is for there to be a simple touchscreen error. And you click one thing, but really it registers as it being another thing. I already know how easy it is for there to be a glitch in the software or in the system somewhere that isn't found until after the time that it should have been found. Okay? And those are just things that are not done on purpose. Could you imagine if somebody really wanted to do something on purpose? It would be so much easier. I don't even like the fact that I don't get a chance to keep a copy of my own ballot and you're not supposed to take a picture of your own ballot. I don't like that. Okay? Because the fact of the matter is I want to know that when it comes down to it, my ballot was counted the way that I actually registered my vote. I don't trust none of these people. None of them. No offense, I love a lot of them. Okay, I love the people that work at the Board of Election, but I can't trust none of them because I'm not seeing it happen with my own eyes. And when I see it happen, I don't like the way that it's going down. I believe it should all be hand counted, but that's a whole nother conversation. That is a whole nother conversation. I believe they should be hand counted and live streamed. Okay, don't get it twisted. Now, let's be really real. As we march down this path towards election day, are you doing what you can to make a difference? Are you getting involved? Have you decided to help a candidate? Are you running this year yourself, maybe? Have you started organizing the people in your community? Because we really have to start getting active. We just do not have the apparatus that the people on the left have. Neither the Democrat machine or the American Marxists. That's the Democrat, socialists, and the communists and all of them. Okay. We need to have that conversation. Are you doing what needs to be done? Because if you're just sitting on your bum and nothing's getting done, you're not making a difference. You're allowing things to get worse through your passivity. And that's a very, very serious issue. I encourage you to drink water and stay hydrated. Drink water. Here's the deal, you guys. As people who are American citizens, we need to get active. They're trying to let illegal aliens vote. I was just watching this guy talk about, he's in Chicago, talking about some guy that came here illegally. In 3 months, got his social security number and his driver's license, and he's here illegally. How does that even happen? You understand what I'm saying? And they're pushing for illegal aliens and non-citizens to be able to vote. That's reprehensible. That's unacceptable. And realistically, it's unconstitutional. But that's a whole another separate conversation. But we're not having the real conversations that we need to be having. And people will say, oh, well, Marcus, everybody deserves it. I don't give a flying monkey's uncle what you think everybody deserves. What do the American people deserve first and foremost? That's my priority. Are you an American citizen? You're my priority. I don't care about Venezuela. No offense to Venezuela. I love y'all. Okay. I don't care about where. Democratic Republic of Congo. Not that I don't like them. I love y'all. Okay. But the fact of the matter is I can't care about them because I got people out here overdosing in front of my house. I got people getting stabbed up in front of my house. Okay, they just, before I got here, one of those stolen cars, you know, those cars that these criminal terrorists keep stealing, they done crashed it into the pole right in front of my house. I got some pictures. I'm gonna post it on Facebook and Twitter later, X, whatever, you know what I mean. But they done crashed right in front of the house. Okay, we got all of these issues going on in our community, and you mean that you want me to be concerned about some illegal aliens because they got it hard in some other countries, when the people in my neighborhood and in my community that look like me, that are from here, that have gone to school with me, and some that are my seniors and some that are my juniors, aren't able to afford to eat because the prices of food are going up astronomically because of terrible policies that have been put into place by the people that are on the state and the federal level in government, because they are over-regulating everything and taxing people and businesses out of existence? And you want me to be concerned about some people from some other country? Y'all tripping. Absolutely not. Absolutely, positively not. In addition to that, these illegal aliens are coming over here. Didn't I just say that the guy just got his Social Security and all of this? They're getting all of these extra benefits and stuff like that, and they're taking away from you. They're taking away from me. And worst of all, you can say, well, they're not taking away from me. Well, they're taking your daggone taxes, ain't they? Your taxes are paying for them. Okay? So I don't want my taxes to pay for them. Absolutely not. Realistically, I think they need to stop the vast majority of the taxes, and we talked about that before. And at some point, I'll probably talk about it again, but not right now. But these are our tax monies that are going to pay for these illegal aliens. They're like, oh, Medicaid is overwhelmed. Oh, the hospital system is overwhelmed. It's because you're giving them our services. What are you doing? And then you're like, oh, it's overwhelmed. Here, I'll give you the best example I can. Here where I live, we have a shortfall on EBT, right? So the people in County Ledge, there's this one person in particular that's a Democrat. She's pretty left, but she's like, we don't have enough for EBT. We need more money for that. We need more money for housing. We need more money for all of these things. Well, stop giving these daggone illegal aliens all this money, okay, and resources, and maybe we'll be able to have some more resources for our own people, and we're going to have them struggle. I'm just saying. This is the conversation that we really need to have, but we're not able to have that conversation. People say, oh, that's not happening. I just talked to this guy the other day that was actually doing some work with one of the organizations, and he had been terminated from the organization because he was trying to break up a fight between two of the illegals or whatever the case was. But he was telling me about all the money and stuff that they get from our government. More money than you get. And it's crazy. Well, you might not even get any money from the government, but you know, your tax return or whatever. But if you're on social services, they're getting more money than most of us are getting. I'm not on social services, but maybe I should apply. Since if you're illegal, you get all the money you want. Maybe I'm gonna go apply tomorrow. Maybe what's tomorrow? Tuesday? I think I'm gonna go apply for social services. Because why not? Because why not? I'm an American citizen. I deserve the same resources that they're giving all of them. It's a struggle out here. What do they say? The struggle is real. It is real. And they're trying to make it more and more complicated for you to overcome your situation and your status in life. That's why they've made it so that there's no financial literacy in schools. That's why the schools are not adequately preparing the youth for any type of actual real jobs. That's why they keep messing up the monetary policy and increasing the interest rates. The Federal Reserve got some daggone nerve. First of all, let's talk about the Federal Reserve for 2 seconds. Federal Reserve is not part of the federal government. They are a private bank, and they do what they feel like. Okay? They do what they feel like. They are taking your tax money and they are selling it back to you at interest. How they get like that? How they get like that? That's wrong. They are a private bank taking the money from the U.S. Treasury and loaning it back to the government. If we don't cut that daggone man out of the friggin', made me a little bit hot. Okay, if we don't cut the middleman out of this equation, it's too real right now. The Federal Reserve is like, oh, we're going to raise interest rates until you don't have any money left to spend so that we can cool inflation, because as you spend money, inflation goes up. That is the largest bunch of malarkey I've ever heard. They're like, well, if we lower interest rates because of the high pay rates that we have now, more people are going to buy more things and it's going to cause more inflation because of the over demand. That is a lie. That is not how economies work. That's basic economics does not hold true for that. Like, are we even having a real conversation here? No, but you let these people lie to you all the time. You look at what the federal government is doing with our monetary policy locally, nationally and internationally. It's atrocious. Everything that they're doing is against the American citizens. Realistically, they all need to be brought up on treason charges. And I'm not even joking about that. I'm 100% serious. Every single person in administration in the U.S. Treasury and every single person in the Federal Reserve need to be brought up on treason charges because they are working against the American people. They are working against the best interests of the United States of America. And I know a lot of you people listening might be like, America's a corporation. You're daggone right, and they're working against that corporation. Okay? Jiminy crackers. It's just, it's ridiculous, people. It's ridiculous, and it's disgusting, and it's repugnant, and it's repulsive. It's really, really jacked up. That's what it is. And why is it jacked up like that, right? You got to ask yourself, how do we get to this situation? Because every year, less and less people want to get involved and want to vote. So this part of my message is specifically for people that have been more conservative and been more Republican for some time. What's going on? Y'all got to get out and vote. Y'all can't sit on the couch anymore and just expect, oh, a red wave is coming. And nothing coming. Nothing's coming. Nobody's coming this year to vote. Not the Republicans, not the Democrats. The only people that might be coming to vote is the illegal aliens, and that's probably about it. And then, yeah, I'm being a little bit hyperbolistic. Hyperbolistic. I maybe just have made up that word, or it may be a real word, but you get the general concept of what I'm talking about. So the realisticness here is the fact that everybody's so fed up with the government that nobody wants to come out and vote. So Republicans, conservatives, it's your time to shine. You can actually get a lot of these seats and change a lot of these peoples in these positions if you get the people out to vote, if you get your neighbors out to vote, if you get your friends out to vote, if you go join somebody's campaign and help them get other people out to vote and get the message out about them, about the candidates that we have that are running, that are good, that are going to actually work on policy and legislation that will actually help us as a whole. But if you sit on your laurels and you just sit there and don't do anything, nothing is going to change. Nothing whatsoever. And we need to understand that. We need to understand that desperately so. You guys, one of the most important things, whether you're right or whether you're left, is to get involved. Period. Point blank. The leftists are largely funded better. They've largely got a better infrastructure and stuff like that. But the right can build it. Okay? The conservatives can build it, and we need to be building it now. Right now. We got what, 3 months till election? 4 months? Not even really. What month? What? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right? We got 4 months. Okay, what are we doing right now? Are you getting active? Go get active. Now back to our regular scheduled program, right? So with all of that, let's jump into some of the news from around locally and internationally. We touched a little bit on what's going on in France and what's going on in the UK. But something very interesting is apparently Scotland is trying to secede from the UK again. That's interesting. I find that interesting. We'll see what ends up happening. They're probably never going to happen. Again, can't get nobody out to vote for nothing. So problems. Plus, I'm pretty sure it'd have to go through that parliament, and I don't think they would allow them to do that. But that's interesting. But to me, what's really interesting is the European Parliament right now. So they have I guess you call it a rotating presidency, right? So now Hungary is in charge of the presidency. Now, I don't know if you know about Hungary very much, or Viktor Orban, who's is he the president over there? I think that they have a president. Yeah, so he's a president over there. I love that guy. That guy's pretty awesome. You can, I don't like him, whatever. He's trying to do what is best for his country. Not only that, he's trying to preserve Christianity. So I really like that guy. So now, he just made a visit to Macron in France and the Ursuline, whatever her name is. No, that's not Germany. I can't remember who the lady that's in charge of Germany is right now. But over there, and then he went to Ukraine to talk to old boy over there, Zelensky. And when he went over there, he's like, man, y'all should have peace with Russia. Y'all shouldn't keep fighting, whatever, man. We need a peace deal. And Ukraine, not Ukraine as a whole, but Ukraine being Zelensky is like, we're not doing that. Then the U.S. got out on the news and said, We're not doing that either. Who are you to tell Ukraine what they're doing or not doing? Are we being real with ourselves? We shouldn't be giving any money to any foreign wars. That's where I stand on it, period, point blank. Nobody, nowhere. Nobody, nowhere. You want us to give you money for a foreign war? Give us territory in your country. We will annex it and make it part of the United States of America. God bless America. Okay? I am so serious about that. No more loans to other countries, okay? Give us territory. No more loans. Okay? Give us territory or you get nothing. Okay? Otherwise, we accept oil and gold and the good old greenback. Okay? That's what we accept. No more loans to these people. Loans that will never end up being paid back. It's crazy. Loans at zero interest, and you can't get a loan at zero interest. And we talk about that when they're sending your money over there. But Viktor Orban went there to talk to him, and he's like, we're not doing it. The U.S. is like, we're definitely not doing it. Then he went to Russia, and he talked to Putin about it too. And now he's in China talking to Xi, okay, about whatever they're talking over there. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Some of the people in the European Union, not all of them, but some of the people that are MPs over there are saying, oh, we rebuke him doing that, trying to call for a ceasefire in Ukraine or whatever the case is, because with that, he's kowtowing to Russia and what did they say? How did they say it? I can't remember how they said it. But basically, the violence, right? Now, I don't know if you guys know how the Ukrainian war started. It started because the people in Ukraine, largely in Western Ukraine, okay, they were massacring the people in Eastern Ukraine and how you say it, Donetsk. Ooh, where's my brain today? I didn't drink enough water. Drink water, people. Stay hydrated. It's hot outside. It's real hot. It's like 89 degrees outside. But in Luhansk and those other areas over there on the eastern side of the river, they were massacring people over there. Now, those regions were supposed to be autonomous regions and be able to operate on their own, since they had a referendum probably about 10, maybe even more years ago. When was Obama president? And realistically, longer than that, before that, not too long, or right before what was it, the early 90s, you say, when the Soviet Union fell in 1994. That's not too long ago. Ukraine was part of Russia. So there's a lot of ethnic Russians there. There's a much larger backstory there. But the Ukrainians on the west side were killing the Ukrainians on the eastern side. And they were like, you can't be doing that, And they needed help. So they called on Russia to help them. So Russia did not start that, okay? Ukraine started that, okay? And specifically, not saying Ukraine for the sake of Ukraine, but specifically Vladimir Zelensky, okay, who shouldn't even really be in power over there, because the U.S. sponsored a coup, okay, over there to throw out the guy that was in there before. And now Zelensky has gotten rid of all the elections. Excuse me? Zelensky has gotten rid of all news media outside of government-run news media. Excuse me? And we're supposed to be dealing with this guy? And that doesn't even go into the Nazi ties in Ukraine either. So we could talk about that and all of that. But I say that to talk about the fact that they don't want a cessation of hostilities. They don't want it to stop. The people that are dying, like people outside of the very wealthy ruling class in Ukraine, are in very serious conditions, right? Like they are not getting the stuff that they need. And this was before the war, right? This was before the war, because if you look at the majority of the new nations that used to be part of Russia, after the collapse of Russia, they didn't have nothing, and they still don't got nothing for most of them, you know? And we need to have that conversation. So a lot of people over there are dying. A lot of their young men are dying, okay? And nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about the outskirts of the towns and stuff that are outside of Kiev. Nobody cares about that. And this is a very serious issue that we need to have. I don't see these people out here protesting, ceasefire in Ukraine, ceasefire in Ukraine. But we know that war is going on. Y'all just found out about the war with Israel, and that's been going on since, long time, right? 75 years, 76, 78 years, long time. Long time. And y'all mad at that, but y'all not mad at this. And they don't want to have the states that were in Ukraine that were supposed to already be autonomous. They did a referendum to go and join Russia, and they don't want them to be part of Russia. So they legally did it the way that they were supposed to. They had a vote, and they want to be part of Russia because the majority of the people there are ethnic Russian. But we can't have that conversation. And the U.S. is like, we're not going to do it until Russia gets out of all of Ukrainian land. Well, what is Ukrainian land? Who makes that decision? Ukraine used to be part of Russia till '94. That was just like last year. I'm over exaggerating, but you get the point. What's that? 30 years? What year are we? 24? 24? That's like 30 years ago. That's like, I'm saying. But we can't have that conversation, and we need to be having those serious conversations. Why are we still in war in Ukraine? Why are we still there? Why are we using Ukraine as a testing ground for all types of new battlements and extracurricular warfare testing? Why are we doing that? Huh? Why are we doing that? Who stands to benefit? Right? Because clearly the Ukrainian people are suffering. You look at it like this, and this isn't, I'm not trying to talk about right, wrong, or indifferent. Russia said, we're going to go in there, we're going to liberate the lands that were the ones that were supposed to be autonomous already. And this is everything that we are going to go after, and it's everything up to the river, and we're going to stop. And Russia went in there, everything after the river, and they've stopped. They're not going any further west. They don't care about the rest of that. They said openly that that's what they want. And people say, oh, well, no, they should give it back or whatever. But the places were already supposed to be autonomous. So even at all less, those places should be able to be their own countries. How about that? Can we talk about that? No, we can't even have that legitimate conversation, which really needs to be had. But again, your money, your taxpayer money, going over there. It's disgusting. We need to be spending our taxpayer money on our own people, or lowering taxes so we don't have to have so much taxpayer money being spent. That'd be a good start. We really, really, really need to have some real conversations, but we're not able to have real conversations anymore. Because the second that you say something that might challenge somebody's concept of the world, they'll be like, oh, no. They don't want to hear you. They don't want to hear you at all. Because you're saying something that might change the way that they think, or might challenge the way that they think, and they don't want that, none whatsoever. We really, really, really need to talk about what's actually going on. But nobody wants to, especially the Democrats and the people on the left. And you have to start asking yourself why. And again, it all goes back to who's in charge of the education system. But more so than that, it's also the news media. Look, Biden's old and senile and decrepit, and he's been old and senile and decrepit since before he took the presidency. That is not anything that's lost on anybody. We knew that. Now, all of a sudden, the mainstream media is like, oh, he's old and senile. You just found that out? You've been telling us that we're crazy for saying that he's old and senile. He's old and senile. You'd have to be retarded not to be able to see it. Okay, and even the retarded people would see it. Okay, you'd have to be blind, deaf, and dumb. Okay, like for real. Stay hydrated, drink water. Maybe I should get a water sponsor. Speaking of sponsorships, anybody that has listened to the show that has a business that would like to sponsor our show, please reach out. You can email me at marcuswilliams222@outlook.com. That's marcuswilliams222@outlook.com if you'd like to sponsor our show. So that way we can get more information out to more people and actually be a bigger impact. All right, but back to the show. We as Americans are the only ones who are going to fight for America. Nobody is coming to save us. And one of the big issues that we have right now that continue to be overlooked is food. With the food stocks going up, well, going down, the stock, right? How much they have physically. But I'm talking about food prices. The food prices going up and up and up and up and up. Okay. Technically, those aren't stocks. What do you call those? Bonds? I don't think those are bonds either. There's a special thing for it. I forget what it's called right now, and I don't invest in them, but yeah. Anyway, the prices of meat, vegetables, everything's going up, 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 up. And what do we do as American citizens? Why is the prices going up so much? Well, because somehow, magically, all of these farms and stuff are catching on fire or blowing up, and I'm not joking, I can start listing terrible disasters that have been happening on farms, seemingly quite a bit over the last 4 years since Biden got into the presidency. Not saying that he has anything to do with it, just saying it's very suspicious in the time frame that time frame is then. So maybe somebody out there is up to something and we need to really be aware of. Now, they're also putting in new regulations on food processing and on animals, the cows, the chicken and the beef and the stuff like that, all of these things. But we need to be having these conversations about what's happening and why the prices of our food are going up. They'll say, oh, it's greedy mega corporations. Maybe somewhat, a little bit, but not really. What's happening is the cost of production is going up and up and up and up. So when we see things like they're doing in Idaho, where they're like, we're cutting off water to 400,000 square acres, and you won't be able to grow nothing, then boo. You mean no more potatoes? I like potatoes. I like anything grown in America. I like all my food from America. I want my apples to be from New York State. I'm from New York State, but I go to the store and I go buy apples, and it's like Brazil, Portugal, Spain, and all these other countries, and we got apples here, right? Why am I not having American apple juice? Why am I not having New York apple juice? We grow the apples here, you know? I go and I look at the meat, and the meat is Brazil. Why is the meat from Brazil? We got cattle farms here. You understand what I'm saying? What is going on when we're not eating the food that we're producing here? And then the interesting fact is that the majority of the food that we produce here, because of all the chemicals and stuff that we put inside the animals, which we really shouldn't be, again, goes back to regulations, we can't even sell outside of the US because they don't want to buy it because it's so terrible for you. It causes cancer and retardation and all of those other issues and internal organ failure and all types of stuff, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all types of nonsense. Okay? And now they just want to put more and more stuff, pumping it into the food supply, pumping it into the food supply. Well, it's being pumped into you too, vicariously. Because after you eat that, now it's inside you. And I'm not talking about the glow. Sorry, that was a callback to Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, which I hear they're making a remake of. I don't know, it better be good. Because that was a great, great movie. Anyway, as we continue down this path, Walmart, for instance, used to be all made in America. Everything in Walmart started off being made in America. That was their whole claim to fame. Now, almost nothing in America, nothing made in America is sold in Walmart. This just shows you the direction that we go. Now, everything that's sold in America, but not made in America, are jobs that are lost from America. Jobs that could be putting back into the economy, that can be putting back into your pocket, that can be lowering inflation, that can be increasing the value of your dollar. But everybody's so interested in foreign trade to make an extra buck that we're missing out as American citizens. Because Americans have been conditioned, oh, we want the lowest price, we want the lowest price. And I'd really like to know exactly when that started to happen. When we started to take price over quality. We wanted cheap, fast, instead of strong, durable. You know, I wonder when exactly that happened, because you look at stuff even from 80 years ago, it was made better, sturdier, still able to be used. You look at stuff from like 60 years ago, made better, stronger, or easier to use, and everything just seemed to get more and more cheap and made in China. I remember when everything used to have the label on it that said made in Taiwan. I know that made China real salty, so they had to change that. Now everything's made in China in the mainland. It's real, you guys. We have to focus on America first. We have to focus on the issues that are impacting us at home. Forget the illegal aliens. They need to be stopped from coming in, and everybody that's here illegally needs to be deported. I don't care if you even want to say that they're here illegally, deport them too. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Okay, let's be real. Like I talked about the issues with the automation and all the jobs that they're taking, where are we going to be able to work? Between the jobs that are being taken by the AI and automation, which is going to be end up being the vast majority of the jobs, people are going to be penniless and homeless and not be able to own anything. And according to the globalists, you'll own nothing and be happy. But we're competing for jobs, basic entry-level jobs, with the illegal aliens because they can't read, can't write, and most of them don't even speak English. And you look at people graduating from high school right now, they can't read, can't write, and can barely speak English. I'm joking about the last part, barely speak English, but you get exactly what I'm talking about. All of these people are low to no skills that are coming in here. Why are we bothering letting them in here? You know, it's serious. It's very, very serious. I saw a comedy show, a British comedy show, and the guy was on there. He said, you know what? If we're gonna have all these immigrants coming here, they at least shouldn't be Mingas. I said, oh man, that's funny. But if we're gonna have all this illegal immigration, at least they should be highly skilled. At least they should be highly specialized for the jobs that we actually need done. Oh wait, we have H1B1 visas for that, right? And what's the other one? H1B5, something like that. Okay, we got visas already for highly technical and skilled and trained workers already. But we're not having that conversation. We're getting the dregs of society that are coming into America, and you can take that how you want it. Okay, we can help everybody, but we got homeless people taking craps on the street right in the middle of downtown. I took a picture. It's on my X account. I talked about it the other day. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I got some other pictures of homeless people from last night. I'm going to post them later. Maybe tomorrow because I'm going to post other stuff first. But the fact of the matter is we got homeless people, homeless Americans, homeless veterans out here on the street, and you're talking about we're going to take care of some illegal aliens. Come on now. Where are our priorities? Where are our priorities for our veterans? Help the veterans. Help the homeless. Can we have that conversation? No. No. Because why not? Because we got to help the illegal aliens. They're not illegal. They're seeking asylum. Asylum from what? They're not being politically persecuted. They're not under threat for their religion. There's some little bug in this studio that's trying to, like, flying all around. I think it's like 2 of them. These little fruit flies. I can't stand those things. But anyway, we've got these very serious issues where they have the wrong priorities focused on the wrong people. If we're going to be helping people, why are we not helping keep our American families strong? Why are we not helping our own people put the food on the table before we prioritize other people? What do the people on the feed the hungry people? What? There's a specific program. I'm not able to remember it. Feed America, right? What does Feed America always say? 1 in 4 children go to bed hungry. 3 out of 4 people are not eating enough in America that are American citizens. What are we doing? What are we doing prioritizing anybody that isn't from this country? Send them all back. Send them back now and don't let them back in. And anybody that wants to come back in, gonna get dropped in the middle of the ocean. I'm joking, but I'm also serious. Because sometimes when you try to send people back to their country, they don't want to take them. I'm putting parachutes on people. They're getting right out the plane. Okay, we're not playing them games. Okay, matter of fact, I'll do you one better. If you want us to keep your people from your country, we'll keep all of them. And for every single one of them that come over here, we will take 10 generations of resources and annex it from your country. I bet you Venezuela will stop that tomorrow. Okay? I bet you Colombia will stop that tomorrow. When we start taking their stuff to actually aid their own people, then they'll stop it. China can catch these hands too. China is not exempt, okay? Because eventually they're coming for us. We better get them sooner rather than later, okay? So we'll annex their territory too. They sending all these daggone spies and illegals over here. They can catch it too. All of this needs to be shut down. All of it needs to be shut down. We cannot afford, literally, we are literally not able to afford all of these illegal aliens when we got Medicaid is failing. We don't have enough funding for Medicaid. We don't have enough funding for Medicare. We don't have enough money for Social Security. And they're like, oh, the Democrats just raised the Social Security age. And y'all out here talking about, oh, the Republicans. The Social Security age got raised by the daggone Democrats. What are you talking about? In my state, New York State, that's completely run by Democrats. They have a supermajority in the state assembly. They have a majority in the state Senate, and they have the state house, the governorship. They pulled back Medicaid funding. They did that. They pulled back EBT funding. They did that. Are we being real? Are we being ever so serious? They just put, what was it? 3.3 billion or some nonsense like that. Let me see. I don't know. I don't remember. But a large portion of it, and because I don't want to be wrong, and I don't like being wrong. So if I don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Because if I tell you, I want you to be able to believe me on what I said because I'm telling you. But I'm not sure. But it's an aggressive amount of money that's being spent on illegal aliens. So it's a very, very serious issue in New York where I live. Not to mention on the federal level, what they're spending, or wherever you live, what they're spending there. We need to refocus. We need to get these crazy leftist, socialist, progressives, and all of these crazy people out of these offices and out of politics. We need to run them out of there with pitchforks and tar and feather, if that's what needs to happen. Okay, and I'm joking, but I'm also serious. We really need to get active to start putting forth candidates and helping the candidates to get these crazy people out of there, because they care more about illegal aliens than they care about our homeless vets on the street. They don't care about mental health. They're the ones who are the reason why all the kids have mental health problems. They shut down our schools. They told all the people that they had to stay inside. They said, don't get out and get any sun. And then they're like, oh, everybody's got mental health issues. What? You go to solitary confinement and see if you don't get mental health issues. And they did this to the children. Then they're like, don't stand near each other. You got to stand 6 feet apart. Which Fauci admitted in Congress that he basically pulled that out of his nose. It had nothing to do with any actual science. Madness. You should go watch that hearing. But don't be near each other, because of course we wouldn't want you to be able to be social. Well, it's a communicable disease. Hello? Testing, is this thing on? Are we going to be real about that? It was not as deadly as they tried to make you believe that it was. Well, what about all the body bags and all of this and all of that? Because of poor systems management, and because of the fact that they fired all of the nurses and doctors that refuse to take those shots, now which are coming out that the majority of the shots are causing all of these excess health problems, and this is being published in the newspaper. Come on now. Are we being real? Are we having honest conversations? We got to get more Americans that care about America, that care about the American citizens, to actually start standing up and taking action. If you don't get active, nobody's going to do it for you. Get your friends, your family, heck, get some of the enemies that really agree with you to start actually getting active, supporting candidates, running candidates, organizing for the community to hold elected officials accountable on policy and legislation. That's what needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. Because if we don't do it now, nobody's going to do it for us. And that's where I'm going to land my plane today. And I'm going to encourage you guys. Get active. Get active now. Don't rely on anybody. You're not going to be able to depend on anybody but yourself and what you can do. So you're going to have to get more people active. And my last thing for you guys is don't give up hope. Do not give up hope. That's why they're sowing all of this chaos. They want you to give up hope. That's why they're creating all this terror. They want you to give up hope. Do not give up hope. Stand strong. Stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Be blessed and be well. I'll catch you guys later. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. And tune into us next week, Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. Catch you guys later.
And I have so listen every Monday night, 7 p.m. for Theme On with me, George Tavares, only on WRFZ Rochester Free